friend Mick. I was like, Mick, where are you? He's like, oh, Trevor, I'm at home. What's going on? I said, Mick, I need your help. I think I drank too much last night. He's like, yeah, right, and? I said, and then this morning, I threw up a lot. He's like, yeah, right, and? I said, and then while I was throwing up, blood came out. He's like, yeah, right, and? I said, and that's it, Mick. Blood came out of my mouth. He said, oh, that's too bad, Trevor. So what are you going to do now? I said, I'm going to go to the hospital, Mick. He's like, oh, I don't know if that's necessary. Like, was it a lot of blood? So any blood is a lot of blood. What do you mean? He's like, no, I know what you're saying, but like, was it a lot or was it like a wee bit of blood? Mick didn't take me to the hospital. Instead, he decided to come over with some bananas and white bread. Forced me to eat that. And that night, I had another show. I was horrible. It was a bad show. And afterwards, I leave the venue. And who's standing outside waiting for me? My good friend, Mick. And he's like, Trevor, how was your show? I said, it was horrible, Mick. It was horrible. I thought I was going to die. He's like, oh, that's too bad. You want to go talk about it over a pint? I said, what, Mick? He's like, yeah, let's go grab a wee drink. I said, there's no wee nothing here, my friend. There's no wee ever again. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, Mick, I thought I was going to die. I'm not going to drink. He's like, don't be like that, Trevor. It's just one bad day. I was like, yeah, and I'd like to live to see another, Mick. I'm not going with you. He's like, oh, Trevor, don't be like... I'm like, don't be like what? He's like, don't be a pussy. And that's where he lost me. That is where he lost me. I understand what he was trying to do. Guys do it all the time. Hit you with the phrase, don't be a pussy. Yes. Because it implies weakness. Yeah? Do not be like the vagina. The vagina that is weak. Yes, yes. Don't be a pussy. The guys say that and then you do what they want. Don't be a pussy. Yeah, yeah, don't be a pussy because the pussy is weak. And yet, in my personal experience, I have found the pussy to be one of the strongest things I have ever come across in my life. Don't be a pussy? Have you ever come across a pussy? The vagina is one of the most powerful. You realize vaginas can start revolutions and end wars. You realize even on a physical level, the vagina is one of the strongest things that have ever existed. Virtually indestructible. Many men in this room, many men in this room have tales of how they once defeated the pussy. Let me tell you now, they have not. The owner of the pussy may have given you the impression that you defeated the pussy. But it is alive and well, my friends. Whenever people say that, I go, do you understand how impressive the vagina is? Do you understand how strong it is? There's a reason men have sought to oppress it for so long. The vagina is frighteningly powerful. You realize that human beings come out of a vagina. Human beings come out and still it continues to work as intended. Do you understand how impressive that is? Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but do you understand? A human being comes out of the vagina and still it continues to operate, it continues to work. After a human has just come out, you're saying it's weak? A human came out of the vagina. You just sit on a penis wrong and it breaks. You just... Don't be a penis, that should be the phrase. Don't be a pussy. I wish I was a pussy. Are you serious right now? Don't be a penis, that should be the saying. What I noticed was how Black Americans were having a tough time. Remember the first time I came out? I was staying on the West Coast. And I met a young African-American man in Compton. And we were hanging out at a comedy club. And this guy, he looked over at me and he's like, hey, yo, Trevor. He's like, you the dude from Africa, man? I said, yeah, I'm one of them, yeah. He's like, yo, man, I can't front, B. It's an honor to meet you, man. It's an honor to meet you, man. Yo, man, I always wanted to meet a dude from Africa. You an OG, man. You an OG. I was like, thank you. He's like, yeah, man, you know how hard it is out here for a black man? Dude, I can't front, man. You can't get no jobs, man. The cops be on your ass all the time, man. Yo, I'm finna go to Africa myself, man. Yo, I'm gonna go to Africa with you, man. I'm going with you, B. And I was like, yeah, if you buy the ticket, we can roll. I mean, let's go. And I connected with him today. I felt something. Fast forward a few years later. I remember I met a beautiful black woman down south. I was doing shows in Birmingham, Alabama. And this woman came up to me after the show, and she connected with me instantly. She was like, Trevor, baby, can I just tell you right now, I ain't never met a stranger I felt so connected to. When you talk about Africa, when you say those things, I'm like, oh man, oh Lord, I wish I could go with you. Tell me all about the motherland, baby. I want to go to a place I can call my own. I want to go to a place where people don't look at me like I don't belong. Tell me all about Africa, baby. Tell me all about it. And I could feel what she was saying. And I knew that people weren't having a good time. And then you fast forward to 2016. And I'll never forget that moment when Donald Trump closed the lead, had a 1 in 2 chance of being president of the United States. And for the first time in my life, I had white Americans coming up to me going, so Trevor, tell me about Africa. What's going on out there? It's, sounds like a plan, am I right? What is it, Motherland? Motherland? Yeah. I should come with you. Ali Boombaye, count me in, buddy. And it's not just America as well. Johannesburg. I love it though. I love accents not just because they sound fun and you know it's an interesting thing to do. I love accents because I'm always impressed by how much power they have over us, over our minds. You know, when someone speaks a certain way, it changes how we feel about that person. You know, for good and for bad. We do it all the time. You know, you see some people in the streets, they speak to you, you think of them a different way. You see world leaders, they speak a certain way, you think of them a different way. You know, Barack Obama, one of the greatest examples of that. Everything about Barack Obama was by far the coolest president that has ever existed. Just everything about the man, you know? That confidence, the smile, the swag. Like, you know, when you notice Barack, like, I would notice it in the small things. Like when he'd step out of Air Force One. He did it like no other president in the world. Normally presidents step out of their airplane in like a frumpy manner. Like, you know, there's no class or skill. Just like come out. But Barack, he wouldn't step out, he'd emerge. He'd emerge like he was stepping out of the plane and into a music video. You know, he'd just do that thing where he'd come out. And then he'd go down the stairs, doing it the only way he could, you know. The way he descended, it almost looked like every time he hit the ground, he was just gonna go into verse 1, you know? Just straight in, just like, girl, I wanna take you there, give you my Obamacare. Oh, man. Barack Obama's just too cool. You know, he had the walk, he had the talk, and that was the big thing a lot of people never realized about Barack Obama, is the talk. That's what really gave him the edge. He has a certain way of speaking, a certain voice that commands your attention, makes you feel about him a certain way. It's the accent, the way he speaks. And I don't know how many people realize this, But Nelson Mandela had the same thing. Yeah. See, the thing Barack Obama has in his voice, that is the voice of a first black president. Now, a lot of people didn't notice that because he was the first and last first black president of the United States. So you wouldn't know to compare. I'm lucky in that I've gotten to be, I've gotten to live in the country of two first black presidents, namely Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama. So I know what I'm talking about. They both have that thing. It's just difficult to hear because Nelson Mandela is obviously South African and he was older, but they both had that thing in the voice. When Nelson Mandela would speak, a room would silence. You could feel the energy.
I believe that every person, regardless of the color of their skin, should have equal rights, and they may never be taken again. To those who would seek to oppress, I say to you, never and never again.
And the people would lose their minds. And people would feel the chills because he had that thing. Like Nelson Mandela was destined for greatness because of that voice. He could not be a normal man with a voice like that. You can't do normal things with that voice. You are destined for greatness. You can't just be running around in the streets,
and a Kit Kat, please.
No. It's so unique. You can't be silly. What are you making, prank phone calls? Who the hell is this?
I'm not telling you.
It just doesn't work. I remember when Nelson Mandela was still alive and he would tell jokes at press conferences and events and no one would laugh. Because everyone thought a man who had been in jail for 27 years couldn't make a joke. And yet he still did. He still kept what was him. But it was partly because of that voice. He would tell the joke and it would just sound too epic for people to laugh. Everything he did, it'd just be like,
knock, knock.
He'd be like, let him in, let him in.
No. You must say, who's there?
He is so right. We've always got to ask, who's there? Who's here? Who are we? Oh my God. It was because of that voice. The first black president voice. And I'll never forget the day I saw a picture of Barack Obama meeting Nelson Mandela for the very first time. It's a beautiful image, and it's of the two men in silhouette. In Chicago, Nelson Mandela sitting in a chair, Barack Obama leaning over him. And this was way back in the day. This was before Barack Obama was a blip on the presidential radar. He was a junior senator. Not many people knew his name. Back then, he was driving around in his own car, no motorcade, had his aide with him. And that day, they heard Nelson Mandela was going to be in Chicago meeting people. Barack Obama wanted to meet him his whole life. And so he rushed over there. And he was the last person Nelson Mandela saw, the last person he saw that day. And I always imagine Nelson Mandela was sitting in the room, and his assistant came over. She was like,
Mr. Mandela, I know we said we are done, but unfortunately there's just one person who would like to meet you, sir.
I was like, Zelda, I'm so tired. Can we leave?
No, I know you want to leave, Mr. Mandela, but there's a young man that you really need to meet. His name is Barack Hussein Obama.
Barack Hussein Obama. He's American.
Yes, that's correct.
He's going to have a tough time. Where is he?
He's right outside the door.
Okay, show him in. Show Barack in.
Okay, I'll be right back.
and she went over to the door.
She's like, Mr. Obama, Mr. Mandela will see you now.
And Barack walked in, and he was super excited to meet his idol. Nelson Mandela was sitting on the chair. He looked over.
Young Barack, how are you?
And Barack was like, oh man, Nelson Mandela, man, this is the craziest day of my life, man. I can't believe this shit right now. I can't believe I'm meeting Nelson Mandela for the first time, man. Oh man, I waited my whole life for this moment. I'm like, I won't be just like you, man. I read your books, man. I saw what you were doing in prison. I was like, I'm gonna be the first black president of America. I'm gonna do the same things you did, man. I'm gonna win those votes, and I'm gonna be the first black president of America. And Nelson Mandela was like,
not with that voice. You will scare the white people.